Welcome to another phenomenal episode of the Sista Natasha Podcast. I am your host, Mocha Entre Believer. I'm your boss chick, the representative of freedom today. You only get freedom today at every nice place. I want you guys to be excited about this podcast, as excited as I am, because you don't know who is sitting across from me, but I know her. She's another boss chick. She's another Pisces woman. She's a educator. She's a philanthropist. She's a sister, a girlfriend. She's on the board of my youth organization, which is Victory Center for Youth. She's smart. She's beautiful. And single. We had to throw that part in there, baby. Don't let this beauty fool you. But put your hands together and welcome my guest today, my girlfriend Angela Flowers, to the Sista Natasha Podcast. Welcome, boo. I just want to do a little preview, a little history on how important and how much value you have brought, not just to my life and to my business, but you actually taken your girls program and you had my niece Alexandria Weingartner, and you took her in not just as a mentor but as a sister friend, like you do all your girls. And Poopy, what we called her, and two other of her girlfriends were killed in a car accident. And it devastated the Euclid community, the Euclid High School, because there were 3 young ladies that were going to graduate from high school. And a young man driving recklessly in a car with them hit a tree on Taft and killed all 3 of them. And you don't realize and understand that impacted you and invested you into our family, the way you handled that. So I want you to tell the viewers today about Angela. What inspires Angela? What motivates Angela? And then I'm going to ask you about Teen Talk Guru.
Definitely. So thank you, first of all, for having me on the show.
You're welcome.
And what motivates me is just knowing that there are young people that look like me, mm-hmm. that come from the same neighborhoods as me, mm-hmm. that may not know like where their life is going to go. Mm-hmm. And for me, just being able to pour into them, to inspire them, to figure out what their strengths are, what their dreams are, what their goals are, is something that continues to motivate me to work in the community, but also to do the things that I do in programming, but therapeutically in private practice as well.
But Angie, listen, how do you get these young folks to trust you? Girl, they don't trust.
You're right about
They don't
that.
trust people. And being a former youth pastor and listening to the things that young people say, they do, how they respond, how they react, they don't have no holler for you if they don't trust you.
That's true.
What do you do?
So it's about you, like mm-hmm. your aura, what you bring out. Mm-hmm. You are the secret sauce. And so I coined myself Teen Talk Guru because teenagers do trust me. They absolutely love me.
I know.
And I always wonder, like, why is that? Like, what is it about me that they love?
You got it.
They always say, I'm honest.
Yes.
I'm authentic. I'm real with them, mm-hmm. but I listen to them.
That's the main thing.
And that's the key.
Mm-hmm. Listening. Yeah. Tell some of the parents that's struggling right now during this pandemic, during all the kids is at home, the teenagers, the kindergartners, the middle-aged kids. Tell the parents or the caregivers what's some of the things that they should be doing with their kids during this season right now.
So one thing that parents definitely need to do is making sure that they're in tune and in touch with their kids' emotions.
Okay.
The pandemic is going on. You already are stressed out at a heightened level. Mm-hmm. It may be impacting you financially. Mm-hmm. It may be impacting you spiritually, emotionally.
Yes. Yeah.
But then we're in a season right now, too, where depression is at an all-time rate because we're not going to have as much sunlight.
Amongst youth, though, there's a depression that more in depth. You would think that with elderly people. But with the younger generation, you really believe that is a depression element?
Definitely. Our young people may not recognize that it's depression, but depending on what they have experienced, whether it's primary trauma, secondary trauma, whatever they have gone through, adds a level of things to their emotions. But we're in the season of, during the fall time, seasonal affect disorder is real.
Okay.
And that is where you'll see the highs and lows, especially during the winter months, of people going more into a depression.
Okay.
And it's because lack of sunlight, lack of just other things that are going on environmentally. But then depending on what they have experienced, it could be a level of that too. But our young people definitely are stressed.
I believe
They're not communicating with their peers.
I believe it.
Because the pandemic, so they're not out as often, and they're social beings, especially during this age period for them. And so I think that parents need to make sure they are checking in with their kids, that they know what they're watching, what they're viewing, what they're listening to. But they also need to just listen. As parents,
Y'all hear that, parents?
They need to listen.
Listen.
Sometimes as parents, we think we know everything, and we, of course, you know what's good for your child and what's not, but you definitely need to tap into who are they influenced by. Sometimes you may have a kid that's smiling, that's masking all their pain and all their feelings, but they're suicidal.
I believe it.
And you may not know that you not asking them something, or you hugging or embracing them at one time, they have stopped them from harming themselves. So it's more so tapping into your child and then listening to them and not being as hard on them.
It's a lot of aggravation in the house right now. During this, it's a lot of tension because this is really the first time that everybody's been enforced in the house together. And you got step parents that somehow the kids is lashing out at because you said something that you shouldn't have said, or they took it the wrong way. And then that brings friction with the mother and the step parent, or the step parent and the father. So when you say listen to them, there may be some things that they've been wanting to say for a long period of time that they're saying it just lashing out.
Right.
Instead of saying, hey, let's sit down and talk about this. I don't think that the African American community as a family sits down and talk anymore.
Yeah,
we
I was
text.
Just gonna say that.
Yeah, go ahead.
It would be nice if you have family meetings.
Yes.
So that if it's anything, family meetings without repercussions. Because sometimes
let them be free.
Yeah.
Give them a pass.
Things can come up in a family meeting, and it may trigger something in you that you may not like, and you bring it up later and discipline a child for something that they were being honest and authentic about.
Right.
And so I think it's a matter of setting up what those boundaries look like, but also, if we're having a family meeting, the expectation is everybody gonna be authentic.
We're gonna be cool after this conversation,
and
right?
That you do not bring it up later to harm the conversation, or they will shut down afterwards and won't tell you anything.
Now, when I said trust, about how you have a trust factor with the youth population, to whereas they will share things with you that they won't share with their own parents. How do you share that confidentiality element where, unless it's detrimental to the child, how do you hold every child's stuff?
You have to be able to ethically, I'm bound to do that.
Okay.
By being a licensed independent social worker, I am bound to that ethically. But confidentiality is important, and it's something that when people come into therapy, you set that up immediately in the beginning and let them know
it's safe.
If you're harming yourself, you want to harm somebody else, or somebody has harmed you, then it's not confidential, and I'm going to break your confidentiality.
Okay.
So I make sure that I tell them that. I tell them in the beginning too, like, this is what confidentiality is.
It looks like, yeah.
This is what it looks like. And if they say, I really need to talk to you, I remind them again, if it's this, or this, then I cannot keep this confidential. I have a duty to warn if you want to harm someone else, but they still will tell me. So I've had kids tell me they've been sexually abused.
Wow.
And have never told anybody.
Wow.
I've had kids tell me that they were suicidal, or that they had cut themselves the night before, and they hadn't shared it with anybody. And so being able to, I just feel like being able to be in a place where people trust you that much to give you the real them.
Right.
You have to protect it. You have
And
to
it's
protect the confidentiality.
it's a place of safety. You know, people are looking for places that they can take their child and they can say that my baby is in a safe place. So tell us about your facility. Tell us where you're located, what programs you offer, because someone is listening today that really needs to hear that there are safe places and safe spaces that you can bring a young person to, and they'll be able to feed and glean off the things that maybe mom or dad or coach wasn't able to give them. Tell us about that.
Definitely. So we're located in Euclid, 278th and Euclid, and my facility, I have two companies. Making a Difference Consulting is where we provide youth programming within the schools. So right now we're in 18 different schools in Northeast Ohio and 5 different school districts.
Awesome.
We provide our Divas program, which is our gender-specific girls program for girls. We focus on self-esteem. We focus on affirmations, on goal setting and leadership. Our boys program is called Boys to Men, and we have an entrepreneurship program for young people called Youth Biz Academy. And so that is under Making a Difference Consulting.
Okay.
And our private practice is called Children and Family Therapeutic Solutions. So not only do we work with children, we work with adolescents, we work with young adults, but we also work with couples. And so I specialize in working with adolescents because that's my preference.
Okay.
Adolescents and young adults, but we do have clinicians in our office that cater to adults, that cater to couples, and we also have clinicians that work with families in general.
Okay.
And so the way that people can reach out or contact us, you can call 216-394-3012. Or you can visit us on the website, makingadifferenceconsulting.com or cftsllc.com. And we take insurance for our services. So
thank you, Jesus.
Yes.
Insurance.
Medicaid insurance. We take Medical Mutual,
Awesome.
Blue Cross Blue Shield. We take CareSource and United Healthcare for payment for services.
And that's important because you don't want to slight a child because they don't have insurance. And there are programs out there that will make provisions and that will provide funding for the need of your child. So if you don't have that insurance that Angie just mentioned, don't hold on to that. Don't think that they are not welcome because they don't have the insurance. We will find the money for them, baby. Trust me.
And I'm glad you said that because a lot of our programs are grant-funded programs.
Okay.
And so MyCom does a phenomenal job with supporting us with grants. I write grants for programming so that schools can bring us in if they don't have funding sources. But then we also hold programs on site, on location that are grant-funded where it does not cost the family a cost if they're enrolling during that season.
And don't be afraid or look at counseling as something bad for a child. You know, anytime someone hears, oh, you know, he in counseling, or, you know, go get your medicine or whatever, you need medicine too. You need counseling. You just don't want to, you know, say you do. But a lot of times you guys deter a child from feeling that counseling is a good thing.
You know what? I'm glad you said that too because mental wellness is so important.
Yes.
It's so important that everybody's going to experience something that's going to cause you some level of stress where you may need a non-biased person that can clinically guide you through that season.
Nothing's wrong with that.
And so it's nothing wrong with seeking out mental health treatment. There's nothing wrong with...
and say mental health is not crazy.
It's not.
It doesn't necessarily mean that you're crazy.
I debate with my family about this all the time.
Because I got some mental health myself, you know.
I debate with them about it all the time. So if you're going through bereavement, like you have a grief issue, and grief is not always a death in the family either.
Right.
It could be a loss of body function. It could be you have moved away from
you got fat, like me.
Situation.
Mental.
It makes you feel some kind of way. And
yes.
So it may be something you're struggling with.
Yes.
And so it's nothing wrong with finding someone that can be non-biased and help you in that season and in that moment.
Yeah.
And just guide you. And you're able to develop the coping skills that you may need just for that moment. And then you don't need them anymore. I always tell people, when you come into my office, I don't want you to be here forever.
Right.
I want you to get what you need so you can leave.
Grow.
Put me out of business.
Yeah.
That's my ultimate goal. Put me out of business.
That's good, Angie.
It definitely
I like
is.
that.
So mental health is not, it doesn't mean you're crazy because you're seeking a mental health therapist.
Right.
A lot of times, what I found is that children will become so connected when we're doing therapy, or if they're in our support groups, that sometimes parents use it against them.
Right.
They will say, "Oh, you can't go to that group then."
Right.
When that group is what is saving your child.
Right.
That group is what is helping them to deal with whatever they're going through.
It helped Poopy
And so I always encourage my families, don't use this as the punishment or the consequence because you know they enjoy it or like it.
Right.
Take something else away if they need to be disciplined.
One of the things I wanted to talk about, I'm going to blow you up a lot, right? Because I know your level and the capacity of your caringness and that you have for these kids. But you were featured in Crane's Cleveland Business.
Yes.
In the article that talked about your participation in the Core City Cleveland Impact Program and the fact that there was no absorbed information and immediately turned around and shared it. Why is it so important for you to share the knowledge that you have actually acquired on different platforms, different levels? Because you wear two different hats, but they bridge together.
I think it's important to be able to share because you may be mentoring the next whoever, and just in this mental health field, I wish I would have had somebody that mentored me. I probably would have been a lot further. It took me, I've been in business 13 years, so it took me a little while to kind of
figure out
grow
your
and
place.
Elevate. But with Crane's Business Magazine, there were only 2 black women featured.
Wow.
In Crane's Business Magazine for notable entrepreneurs. So I was blessed and honored that they saw that what I was doing in the community was valuable. But I also feel like we have to seek out other platforms that do not look like us and make us feel comfortable. So getting into those rooms where not that we're looking to be accepted, but
we
where
are.
we deserve to be.
And that's the key. That's where you deserve to be, and that there should be more of us.
It should definitely be.
In those platforms and in those arenas. Now, another place, you were featured in the Cleveland Magazine. The article highlighted that your organization, A Difference Consulting, has helped more than 10,000 Cleveland area students. And Angie, that's big.
Yeah.
You be sitting around here acting like, this is so just such. Let me bring 10,000 kids to your house and see how you like that. But she has a passion, and then it seems to be natural for you though.
Yeah.
It's not hard. You don't make it seem hard. You don't make it seem like you're forced to do it. And you keep the same spirit. You're always smiling. And I see a lot of you in your son. I see Jalen has moved and surpassed, so where you can be like, dang, he used to do stuff like that because his spirit. Now talk about baby a little bit.
So I started my business when my son was 1.5. So he knows. Well, I started in the field around the time he was 1.5, and he probably was like maybe 4 or 5 when I actually incorporated my business. So he knows the business. He's an entrepreneur himself, so he picked that up naturally from me. But I do notice that a lot of the things that I do stuff just because, like with homeless people or just people that just may need something, or just because I want to do things, and he does the exact same thing. And it's so funny because I was like, why did you do that for that person? And he was like, oh, that's just what you're supposed to do. It feels good.
Yep.
So what we do and what we show our children are things that they model. So if I'm yelling all the time or I'm always angry all the time, naturally that's going to be what he does. So, or it's going to be a trigger for him. So I just think it's important just to model what we want to see, but then also just being able to just give back and be in the community too.
And what's a blessing is that we are single mothers.
Yes.
We were single mothers, and we did not give up on our sons because we were that. So in one place we were mother, in another role we had to be father.
Yeah.
And it all worked together because we've never had to go to a jail.
Right.
We never had to, go to a place that we had to really shake them up.
Yeah.
Or put our foot up,
He know my foot be on his throat though sometimes.
You have to be, boys, you have to be stronger. Some people say you got to be harder on girls, but I believe that you really got to be harder on boys because boys tend to feel like if not no man in the house, then I want to play that man. No, that's not your role, bruh.
Right.
You're going to stay in your place and you're going to do like I say do until you get, because you're really homeless until you get your own place.
Right.
Now, at any level, you lose that room. So I always like to tell them, listen, you just here for a little while.
Right.
But
Right.
we think when we think of education, we immediately think of our kids being at a deficit of their counterparts in the suburbs academically, right? As the parents, aunts, uncles, we know that our children face more challenges as well. How does your programming help close the gap between the social emotional issues versus academics?
So I'm glad you brought that up. Our value add for our programs is that we are able to show an increase with about 85% of participants in our programs academically, meaning that once they are in our programs, they're able to set academic goals because that's first. The academics is first. I always tell kids when they come in programming, yes, being emotionally whole is good, but your education is your vehicle that's going to drive you other places. So I share with them academically, I was valedictorian. I went to John Carroll for free. They paid me to be in school. I went to Case Western Reserve on an academic scholarship. So education definitely is important to me. And then within our programs, we stress education. But their self-esteem and confidence and knowing who they are is just as important as the academics. Because on paper, I can look great, but if I don't feel good emotionally and I don't feel whole, then my behavior and things that I'm doing is going to not reflect my capability.
Got it. Okay, listen. We have 49 days until the most important election ever, Angie. Last week we shared about our voice.
Yes.
Share with the youth population while we have you on camera how important their vote means to our community.
Their vote is so important as we are looking at the Supreme Court nominations. We are looking at just the president for the next 4 years. Your vote is so important. My 18 to 30-year-old population, you need to get out and vote. You need to make sure that your vote counts because we cannot be put in a situation like we are in currently. Our economy is going downhill. We see so many people that are dying from this virus. There are so many things that your vote impacts, whether it's the educational system, whether it's just our healthcare, just in general, all of the things that we think about are impacted by voting. And so the presidential election is important, but also 2 years later, make sure you go back and you vote for those state senators and all of those people that actually pass the laws, which is important. Those are the things that are going to affect you, but we have to get there first. Make sure you vote November 3rd.
Make sure you vote. Parents, make sure when you go to vote, make sure you take everyone in your house, your neighbor, whomever, pay the extra gas. Everyone that is 18 years and older, make somebody a voting captain on your street. We need every vote during this election. The cost of lives that are associated with this versus freedom and our liberties, we have to be held accountable. We cannot say nothing. If you don't vote, we don't want to hear nothing from you. We don't want you complaining about what the outcome was, what we've been experienced the last 4 years. We don't want to hear none of that. The only right that you have to speak on anything or to give your thought about anything is if you vote. It's just like going to the store. How you gonna complain about the milk that's past dated if you haven't even anticipated really coming? That's not what you came in there for. Pay attention to everything that's on the ballot, y'all. Don't just vote for the presidency. Take time, study, educate yourself on what it is we're supposed to vote. Young people, get out and vote. Angie, I want you to know, I appreciate everything that you do for our kids, everything that you do for our community, every level of accountability that you've given, not just your businesses, but you as a person. This is not something that you take lightly. This is what you strive to do. You strive to do better. I watch you from afar. And I'm just proud of you. I'm proud of everything. So I want to thank you guys. Thank you for coming in, Angie. We appreciate you. We love you. I want to thank my production team today. Thank you for joining us. Sharia, thank you for being a part of us today. I am your host, Sista Natasha. I am going to be on a sabbatical for 2 weeks. We've been experiencing one thing after another on the Sista Natasha podcast, and I got to take a break. We'll be back on October the 11th. I am going to come back to you on October the 11th, the importance of a spiritual father. A dedication and a tribute to my spiritual father who has went to be with the Lord this week, none other than Bishop Jesse Delano Ellis II. He is with the Lord. He has done many, many, many things in my life I'm going to talk about on the 11th when we come back. Ellis family, you guys are in my prayers. I love you so much. Until October 11th, God bless you. Thank you, sis. I love you. God bless. Take care.